Hi, everybody, and welcome back. Today, we're going to be looking at cloning. Now, cloning essentially is the process whereby we take a somatic body cell, which is a cell that has all your genetic information in it, like a muscle cell or a skin cell. And somatic cells are called body cells, and they are diploid, which means they have a full set of your chromosomes in them. Now, in order for cloning to work, we're going to need these somatic cells because essentially what they do is they are going to provide the full set of chromosomes that we need to make a new individual, a clone. But we also very importantly need a gamete cell because gamete cells are haploid and they have a half set of chromosomes. Now, the gamete cells are our sex cells, our sperm and our ovum. Now, without them, we can't make individuals in normal development, as you can see in this original picture. In cloning, what we're doing is we are essentially skipping that step. In other words, we don't require fertilization to take place. Instead, we can just use a somatic cell with a gamete, but we don't need any fertilization. Now, in this video, I'm going to look at the three main kinds of cloning: reproductive cloning, therapeutic cloning, as well as molecular cloning. Now, before we start looking at molecular cloning, we need to know the very important structures that are involved in molecular cloning. And most importantly, we need to look at what exactly is a plasmid. Now, inside of bacterial cells, we will find an extracellular piece of DNA that is floating out in the cytoplasm, as you can see here in this bacterial cell. Now, this plasmid is often a ring of DNA that is separate from the rest of the bacteria's DNA. As we can see in the diagram, here is the rest of the major components of this bacteria's DNA. Now, the plasmid is a separate ring of DNA. And why is it so useful? Is because it allows scientists to insert genes that we want to copy and we want to make more of. And because the plasmid is such a simple structure, it makes it really easy for us to cut it open, insert what we want, and produce the product that humans need. And so in this little picture here alongside is a very simple explanation on this, and I am going to go into more detail. But essentially, we start off with our plasmid ring. We cut out a piece of the DNA that we no longer need. And then we insert in this target gene. Now, this target gene would be from a human, and perhaps, like they've used in the example, it's for insulin. We then insert it into this missing space, and we join it together with enzymes, and we produce something called a recombinant plasmid. I'm going to look at the details of how exactly do you take this plasmid and then turn it into a molecular clone. Let's have a look at molecular cloning. So we now know what a plasmid is. And in this diagram, they're referring to the plasmid coming from a vector. The vector is the bacterial cell that will ultimately grow whatever the plasmid tells it to do. And so we take the plasmid out of our bacterial cell and we use an enzyme. In this picture, they have used endonuclease. Essentially, some textbooks will say a restriction enzyme. Basically, this enzyme will cut out the section of the plasmid that we don't want anymore, so that we can insert the DNA of the structure that we do want. Now what we need to do is we need to isolate the gene that we want to copy and make more of, essentially molecularly clone. And so we take one of our chromosomes from the organism, perhaps it's a human, and we cut out the piece of DNA that we are interested in. And we do this yet again with a restriction enzyme. The enzyme is going to cut out the piece that we want, this piece over here. And that is the gene that is going to produce the product that we need. Often textbooks will use insulin as an example. So this will be the insulin gene that we are cutting out so that we can produce more insulin, particularly for diabetics. Now what we need to do is we take our plasmid that we have cut a section out And we combine this new DNA fragment into the space that we have created, this space over here. As you can see, the pink section is the new piece of DNA that we have inserted. And what we do is we use a separate enzyme called DNA ligase. So there's two enzymes. There's a restriction enzyme that will do the cutting, and ligase essentially does the sticking or pasting of the information into our plasmid. Now, our plasmid cannot remain outside of the bacterial cell, otherwise it's not going to replicate and make the products that we want. So then what we do is we reinsert that plasmid back into our host cell being the bacterial cell. And you can see here, there is our plasmid with our recombinant DNA inside of it. Recombinant DNA simply means a structure that has had DNA that has been slightly changed from its original form. And now what we need to do is we need to wait for this bacterial cell to multiply, because every time it multiplies, this DNA will be carried into the next generation. But not only that, every time the bacterial cell replicates, it's going to get the instruction to make this human product for us. In this instance, it's going to start making insulin. We are then left with multiple bacterial cells that have now been produced due to replication, and each one of them contains these new plasmids with our human DNA inside of them. That means that each one of these bacterial cells will produce insulin and they will secrete it. Now, when we do this for humans, this obviously happens in the millions of bacterial cells, and they produce a huge amount of insulin, which will be a liquid that we can collect and we can purify and give to people with diabetes. This is a form of cloning because all we have done is taken a healthy gene from a human and we have cloned it. We've made repetitive copies within it. And we did that by using a bacteria's plasmid. Now let's look at reproductive cloning. Reproductive cloning requires a bigger animal this time. We can't use any bacteria for this because what we want to do is we want to clone an entire multicellular organism. So the first thing we have to do is we need a donor sheep. Now, the donor sheep is, in this instance, our white-faced sheep. And the donor is who we are making a clone of. In other words, this individual over here is the one we want to clone. And we know this because we are going to take this cell and we are going to take its nucleus out of it. Now, this nucleus is diploid, which means it is 2N. In other words, it has the full set of chromosomes that we need to make another individual. That means no need for a sperm cell or fertilization. All we're going to do is we're going to take that nucleus out and we're going to clone it. And we're going to make another one of these white-faced sheep. Now, you'll notice that it says we took this cell from a sheep's udder. Essentially, you need to take this particular cell from any somatic body part. In other words, muscle, skin, bone, anything that will have a full set of chromosomes, a diploid set of chromosomes, and that it's a somatic cell. In other words, it is not a stem cell. The second important component of reproductive cloning is an egg donor. Now, this egg donor is a black-faced sheep, and this sheep will be the egg cell donor. It's important to know that this egg cell is a gamete, which means that it is N or haploid. It has half the set of chromosomes. Now, normally an egg cell needs to be fertilized to make another individual, except this time we don't want to make the black-faced sheep, we want to make the white-faced sheep clone. So what we need to do is, first of all, we have cut out the nucleus from the donor cell. Then we also need to cut out the nucleus of the egg cell. How we paste them together and who receives what is the most important part. This is how we keep track of who we are cloning. So now what we do is we take the nucleus, which has all the genetic information from the donor, and we insert it into an empty egg cell. I want you to notice there is no nucleus inside this egg cell. We removed it. We removed it because we don't want any DNA from the black-faced sheep. We want to remove the sheep's DNA. We only want the white-faced sheep's DNA. And so we fuse them together, and we do that with an electric shock. It sort of stimulates the acceptance of the DNA. It's sort of like what would happen when fertilization happens, but remember there's no sperm cell here, so fertilization isn't happening. Instead, we're sort of mimicking that idea. And now we've inserted the white-faced sheep's nucleus into the black-faced sheep's egg. Let's pause for a moment here. Remember that whoever is giving the nucleus is the individual we are cloning. It doesn't matter who is giving the egg cell because the egg will be empty. And once they've fused together, this cell that is produced over here will have only the white sheep's DNA in it. Now, this fused cell, it needs to replicate. It needs to go through mitosis. And so because it thinks that it's now ready to make another individual, the egg cell is going through its regular mitosis after it would have been fertilized. Remember, we haven't done that. All we've done is inserted the DNA of the white-faced sheep. It undergoes replication and it forms an embryo. It's important to note that this embryo is forming outside of all of these sheep. It's happening in a petri dish, in a lab, and we haven't put it back into the sheep just yet. This ball of cells, each cell being an identical copy of the one next to it, is how we actually grow a new embryo. That embryo is then going to be placed in a foster mother. Now, let's have a quick think. Is the white-faced sheep going to be the foster mother or the black-faced sheep? The clue is who donated the egg cell. And if you guessed correctly, the foster mother is going to be our black-faced mother or black-faced sheep. And she is the one who we're going to put the embryo back into. She was the original egg donor. And the embryo will develop inside of her as it normally would. However, she is going to give birth to the white-faced sheep, the original nucleus donor. And that then means that this original white-faced sheep that we have up top here is the exact same copy as this individual, the cloned lamb. They are identical in every way. Lastly, let's look at therapeutic cloning. Therapeutic cloning is when we need to perhaps replace a piece of skin that you lost if you burnt yourself, or perhaps you need an organ transplant, or you need a bone transplant, perhaps because a piece of your bone is missing and you need to grow it back. Well, therapeutic cloning requires two things. First of all, like most cloning, it's going to have to require a somatic cell or a body cell. Now, in this instance, the body cell is going to come from the person who needs the new skin or the new bone that we want to make, and they're going to donate that tissue. The second important component that we need is going to be an enucleated egg cell. An enucleated egg cell is where you've taken the nucleus out of the egg, just like we learned in reproductive cloning in the previous section. Now what we do is we take out this man and his nucleus out of the cell that he has donated, and we're going to transfer it. In other words, we've cut it out, we've removed it, and we are going to put it inside of the egg cell that was donated. Essentially, what we need to do now is we need to clone a cell. And so this cloned cell is diploid, which means it has a full set of chromosomes in it. Where did these chromosomes come from? They came from this original male donor from the very beginning. In other words, we are going to make his cells. We are not going to make any cells from the female who produced this egg cell. Her DNA was removed a long time ago, so that means the only DNA that we can use is this nucleus that is present from the male cell. Then what we do is we allow the egg cell to go into development. The egg thinks that it has been fertilized when it actually hasn't. We've just inserted the donor's DNA inside of it. And what it starts to do is it develops into an embryo, a ball of cells. And what we're looking for is this inner mass of cells inside of here. Essentially, those are stem cells. And stem cells, as we know, are undifferentiated cells that can turn into anything, any cell. Now, this is the important part of therapeutic cloning because these particular stem cells mean that we can turn them into anything. And so, depending on what the needs are of the donor, whether he needs a bone or a skin transplant, we can grow anything. And we want to harvest these stem cells. So, we let the embryo develop. And then, what we do is we take these stem cells and we harvest them, we take them out. Now what we do is we take these cells and we let them grow inside of a petri dish. And what we can do is we can stimulate them to then grow into either perhaps muscle or nerve or any tissue that we need. And we can make a huge amount of this. And the beauty of it is that all of these cells that are made are the original donor's cells, which means that if he receives them back, there is no need for any anti-rejection medication or any immunosuppressor drugs that you might need if you were having a organ given to you by somebody else. Essentially, you're growing your own skin or your own organ to be replaced within yourself. It's sort of like growing spare parts for your body. So let's wrap up this lesson and have a terminology recap. Now, we looked at cloning. Essentially, it is the process of producing organisms that are genetically identical to who they came from. In other words, they have exactly the same set of chromosomes, their DNA is identical. We also looked at our plasmids, which are these extracellular nucleic information. In other words, they're nucleic information that is outside of our nucleus. They float around in a ring shape and they can form something called recombinant DNA. In other words, DNA that is mixed with pieces that weren't there before. Now, that brought us to the lesson on molecular cloning. Molecular cloning is when we take a section of that plasmid and we insert in the piece that we want to make. We used restriction enzymes to do this, and these are the enzymes that do all the cutting. And we use ligase, which is an enzyme that does all the pasting. It pastes in the pieces that we want to take from the human and insert it into the bacteria. We then looked at reproductive cloning, which is essentially where we reproduce a full multicellular clone, something like a sheep. And in order to do that, we need a diploid cell, a full chromosome set, and a haploid cell or a half set. Now, somatic cells are body cells. They are diploid. They have all the genetic information that we need in order to make a clone. We also have gametes. Gametes are sex cells, egg and sperm cells. In this instance, we use egg cells and we take the nucleus out of the egg and we insert the nucleus of the donor that we want to clone. We then also looked at therapeutic cloning, which is when we need to grow new tissue to replace any that is damaged from a donor. And we can do this by growing stem cells. We take the donor's nucleus, we put it inside of an egg cell. The egg cell has the ability to then undergo mitosis, and it makes lots and lots of stem cells on the inside, which are undifferentiated cells that can become anything. We then can take those stem cells and we can grow the tissues that we need, more muscle tissue, skin tissue, etc. I hope you've enjoyed this video and I will see you all again next time. Bye.